Courage is knowing what not to fear. Man, a being in search of meaning. Music is a moral law. It gives soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and charm and gaiety to life and to everything. Good people do not need laws to tell them to act responsibly, while bad people will find a way around the laws. The first and greatest victory is to conquer yourself. To be conquered by yourself is of all things most shameful and vile. We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light. Democracy is a charming form of government, full of variety and disorder, and dispensing a sort of equality to equals and unequals alike. There are two things a person should never be angry at: what they can help and what they cannot. A hero is born among 100, a wise man is found among 1,000, but an accomplished one might not be found even among 100,000 men. At the touch of love, everyone becomes a poet. The measure of a man is what he does with power. Human behavior flows from three main sources: desire, emotion, and knowledge. Ignorance, the root and stem of all evil. No man should bring children into the world who is unwilling to persevere to the end in their nature and education. Death is not the worst that can happen to men. Honesty is for the most part less profitable than dishonesty. Justice in the life and conduct of the state is possible only as first it resides in the hearts and souls of the citizens. Music is the movement of sound to reach the soul for the education of its virtue. When men speak ill of thee, live so as nobody may believe them. There is no harm in repeating a good thing. Necessity, the mother of invention. There are three classes of men: lovers of wisdom, lovers of honor, and lovers of gain. No one is a friend to his friend who does not love in return. Science is nothing but perception. Life must be lived as play. Knowledge without justice ought to be called cunning rather than wisdom. He who commits injustice is ever made more wretched than he who suffers it. Knowledge becomes evil if the aim be not virtuous. To be sure I must, and therefore I may assume that your silence gives consent. One of the penalties for refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. Opinion is the medium between knowledge and ignorance. The greatest wealth is to live content with little. The beginning is the most important part of the work. Love is a serious mental disease. We are twice armed if we fight with faith. The empty vessel makes the loudest sound. For a man to conquer himself is the first and noblest of all victories. Dictatorship naturally arises out of democracy, and the most aggravated form of tyranny and slavery out of the most extreme liberty. A good decision is based on knowledge and not on numbers. Every heart sings a song, incomplete, until another heart whispers back. Those who wish to sing always find a song. At the touch of a lover, everyone becomes a poet. People are like dirt. They can either nourish you and help you grow as a person, or they can stunt your growth and make you wilt and die. Nothing in the affairs of men is worthy of great anxiety. This city is what it is because our citizens are what they are. Thinking, the talking of the soul with itself. There will be no end to the troubles of states or of humanity itself, till philosophers become kings in this world, or till those we now call kings and rulers really and truly become philosophers, and political power and philosophy thus come into the same hands. The eyes of the soul of the multitudes are unable to endure the vision of the divine. Justice means minding one's own business and not meddling with other men's concerns. Astronomy compels the soul to look upwards and leads us from this world to another. Let parents bequeath to their children not riches, but the spirit of reverence. Love is the joy of the good, the wonder of the wise, the amazement of the gods. The man who makes everything that leads to happiness depends upon himself and not upon other men, has adopted the very best plan for living happily. This is the man of moderation, the man of manly character and of wisdom. For good nurture and education implant good constitutions. Attention to health is life's greatest hindrance. He who is of calm and happy nature will hardly feel the pressure of age, but to him who is of an opposite disposition, youth and age are equally a burden. We do not learn, and what we call learning is only a process of recollection. Poetry is nearer to vital truth than history. And what Socrates is the food of the soul? Surely I said knowledge is the food of the soul. There's a victory and defeat, the first and best of victories, the lowest and worst of defeats which each man gains or sustains at the hands not of another but of himself. The punishment which the wise suffer who refuse to take part in the government is to live under the government of worse men.